Welcome to Meeple Mentor. I'm Jared and we're about to play Black Angel. Let's take a look, I'll show you how. And feel free to pause the video as needed to follow along with your copy of the game. Make sure to like and subscribe below the video so you don't miss any of my latest content. The future of Earth looks grim. Since humanity has been irresponsible with Earth's limited natural resources, Earth has become uninhabitable. In a last effort to save us all, the last great nations of the world were forced to cooperate on an interstellar mission, the Black Angel Project. Black Angel is the name given to the first intergalactic frigate responsible for transporting the genetic heritage of humanity beyond our reach to a new, viable world. The voyage is expected to last thousands of years, and so the crew of this mission is composed entirely of AI robots. However, since no one nation wants to trust the job entirely to another's artificial intelligence, the Black Angel is co-managed by several AIs. The utility of each decision these AI groups make during the trip will be evaluated in VP, or the validation process. Each player will take on the role of one of these groups of AI robots attempting to guide Black Angel to the planet Spes. Along the way, you'll need to upkeep the ship, explore new worlds, meet new alien species, and avoid the dangerous Ravagers. At the end of the journey to Spes, the AI who earned the most VP will be entrusted with reawakening humanity and overseeing its new start. Before setting up, I'm going to point out that there are advanced rules to the game that the rulebook separates out. For my tutorial though, I'm including them by default in the teaching. First, place the large Black Angel ship board in the middle of the table. Take all the space strips and lay them out like this, out from the center of the Black Angel. They are two-sided, and initial setup placement should be random. If you're playing with 2 players, only use 5 space strips. The extras can return to the box. Place the Spes planet token on the last strip, furthest out from the Black Angel board. The larger planet tile can sit to the side. Assemble and place the Black Angel frigate miniature in the center hex of the center space strip. Sort out the dice by color and place them in these supply areas on the game board. For a 3-player game, use only 5 dice per player, and for a 2-player game, only use 4 of each color. Create supply piles near the board within reach of the players. You'll have ship figurines, crystal resources, and damage and debris cubes. These are intended to be unlimited. Take all the square technology tiles and sort them by color, orange, gray, and green. The black-backed ones are advanced technology tiles. Create 3 stacks of the orange, gray, and green ones by the game board here. You should have them facing the same way. The face-up side should be the boost side, displaying a 1x. Now draw 1 of each color tile to place in random order on the first 3 spaces of the technology display area. Create a shuffled stack of the black advanced technology tiles and place it face down here by the game board. Now flip over these tiles to fill these 4 spaces of the advanced technology slots. Separate the color decks and shuffle them each individually. The mission cards are the orange, gray, and green ones. The red cards are Ravagers. Place each deck to the side of the board. If playing a 3-player game, remove 6 random Ravager cards and return them to the box. If playing a 2-player game, remove 12. From the shuffled Ravager deck, draw 1 card and place it face up in the numbered area shown at the top of the card. Then place a red damage cube on the first damage space close to it. Draw a second Ravager card and do the same thing. If you happen to draw another card that should go on the same numbered space, place it on top and offset it so you can tell how many cards are in the stack. Place a damage cube on the second damage space of that action. Now everybody gets to choose their preferred player color. There's pink, blue, white, and red. Take all of the robots matching your color. 5 of them should be placed in the break room center space of the main board, and 1 in each of the 3 workstations surrounding it. They are the solid green, gray, and orange colored spaces. Take the matching player board corresponding to your color and set it face up in front of you in this orientation. The rest of the robots should be kept nearby. If you're playing a 2-player game, place one robot of an unused color in each workstation as well. Take the 2 discs of your color. Place one on the 5 victory point space on the score track. Then, on the main board, claim the closest player compartment by placing your color disc in the circle space. Take the 3 starting technology tiles with your chosen color on the back. Place these face up in the 3 highlighted spaces on your board. Which one goes where should be random. Next, deal out 1 mission card from the top of each mission deck and Ravager deck to each player. Everyone should start the game with 1 crystal resource, 1 debris cube, and 1 ship. There are storage areas for each of these at the top of your player board. Each player's compartment area of the main board has 2 areas. The larger standard area that your rolled dice will sit, and the high security area above your disc. Only 1 die can be placed in this high security area at a time and is reserved. During the game, players have the option to use your own rolled dice, so having one of them reserved for you prevents opponents from using it. Randomly decide on a first player. Hand them the first player aid. Since turn order will go clockwise, pass out the rest of the numbered player aids to the players in order of seating arrangement. Everyone should take 3 dice, 1 of each color, and roll them in turn order. Place the rolled dice results in the standard area of your player compartment. If playing a 2-player game, the first player should collect the neutral player's 3 dice and roll them as well, placing them in an unused compartment. Players should look at the top of the player aid for extra starting items granted to them based on their turn order. For example, the 4th player aid lets them take 1 additional crystal resource and debris. The lock icon with the die also lets the player reserve 1 of their dice from the initial roll for free. The first player does not get any bonus items. Now you're all set up and ready to play. Let's take a look at how the game plays out. Black Angel takes place round after round in turn order. On a player's turn, they must do one of 2 sequences. Sequence A, which is your standard turn, and Sequence B, which is kind of a reset turn. The player aids show you what order to do things in each sequence. In general, Sequence A lets you activate a row or column of technology tiles on your board, and take an action with a die. You can always use any one of the dice you rolled that is in either compartment area. If you have no dice, you may steal another player's die from their standard area if you first pay them a crystal resource. In a 2-player game, you may also pay a crystal to the supply to take one of the neutral player's dice. The color of the die used dictates which area of the board that you must take an action. Each color has 2 actions possible, so the main board has 6 possible action spaces. After taking your action with a die, move it to the supply area for its color. Then you always draw new cards from the same color deck as the die you used. Draw 2 and pick 1 to keep. Discard the other. Since the die used always goes back to the supply, no action space will ever be occupied past a player's turn. All action spaces on the board will always be available. Sequence B is the turn you take when you've run out of options. If you do this turn while you still have dice, you lose 1 victory point per total value of your dice. The star icon is a 0. First, you'll collect the dice owed to you based on the number of robots you have in the colored workstations. Roll all of them and place them in your standard area of your compartment. You may reserve 1 to the high security area by paying a crystal resource. Then, your player board resets itself. Remove all played cards around the edges and return the debris cubes that were used back to your collection area. Lastly, the Black Angel ship will advance 1 hex forward. The last space strip behind it falls off, flips over, and goes to the front of the path. Some scoring happens depending on cards that were on the removed space strip. Other than that, your turn is over. Once the ship reaches planet Spec, or you've emptied the Ravager deck, the game ends. Final points are awarded, and the player who has the most victory points wins. That's the general overview of what's going on. So now let's go into a little more detail. Typically, you'll be taking a Sequence A turn. Your first choice is whether or not to play a card from your hand face down on the outer edge of your player board. All the technology tiles are colored and match the card colors. If you place a card next to one of the 3 rows, you may activate the abilities shown on the tiles in that row that match the color card used. The same goes for the columns. Playing a color card on any of the 3 bottom columns triggers abilities of all technology tiles in that column that match the card's color. If the row or column has different colored tiles and you want to activate all of them at once, you may do so using a red Ravager card. These allow all the tiles to trigger no matter the color. From all the tiles that are able to be activated, you may always choose the order in which to do so for your maximum benefit. Playing a card like this at the beginning of your turn is completely optional. Also, if a card is already in the row or column you want to use, you may not put a second one down. So you only have 6 possible card activations before this is no longer an option. You'll need to reset your player board with a sequence B turn to remove them. Let's take a quick look at everyone's starting 3 technology tiles. All of them have a debris cube space. For now, ignore that. The following abilities will happen when properly triggered by placing a card around your player board. The orange tile lets you either gain 1 ship to your storage or move a ship in space up to 2 hexes away. If choosing the move ability, you are allowed to launch a new ship into space under the Black Angel and then move it. The gray tile lets you take either 1 crystal resource or 1 debris cube. These are placed in your storage areas. The green tile lets you place 1 robot from your supply into the break room of the Black Angel, or you may move 1 of your robots from the break room to one of the 3 colored workstations. You could also choose to move a robot from a workstation back to the break room. If you're playing a 2-player game, whenever you add a robot to a workstation, remove the neutral player's robot there, if there is one. Over the course of the game, it's likely the neutral player will end up without any robots in workstations. When that happens, there's no need to roll dice for the neutral player after that. Whether or not you placed a card around your board, you must always perform an action with a die. The dice you've rolled that are in your compartment are always available to you. If you like, you may choose another player's die from their standard area compartment, but you must pay them 1 crystal resource. That player cannot refuse this. The die you pick shows a star, 1, 2, or 3 value on it. The star is a value 0. The action you use the die for is activated as many times as the value of the die. You don't have to use all the activations, but you must use at least 1 that it gives you. There's only 1 action you can take with the star face, but I'll get to that later. You may choose to pay 1 debris cube to the supply to flip one of your die to its opposite face. The cube must come from your collected storage of debris cubes. You may not pay a debris to flip an opponent's die. The color of the die dictates which actions you can choose from. Each color area of the Black Angel board has 2 actions available. There are 6 action spaces on the board and are numbered 1 through 6. Additionally, there are actions available on certain mission cards placed on the space board, but I'll cover those later. Place the die on the action circle for what action you want to take. Sometimes damage cubes are present at an action space and can affect your options. With 2 damage cubes at an action space, the value of your used die is reduced by 1. If any Ravager cards are present at the space attached to the action, you must resolve the permanent effect of the topmost Ravager card before performing the action. If it's not possible to resolve the Ravager card's effect, you may still do the action, but lose 1 victory point. Here's what the effects of the Ravagers do. This one means you should place a damage cube on the next action clockwise. This also applies to another Ravager card that would arrive at this action space. Place the damage that would normally accompany it on the next action clockwise instead. This one means you should add a damage cube on a die in the supply of the color indicated on the card. If there are no dice in the supply matching that color, ignore the effect. This one means you should discard a mission card from your hand in order to perform the action. This one means you must discard a Ravager card from your hand to do the action. Lastly, this one means you must place one of your robots from the break room on this card to take the action. The robots stay on the card until the Ravager card is destroyed. Then they can return to the break room. After resolving the action, you must draw 2 cards that match the color of the die you just used. You can keep one in your hand and discard the other. If the mission deck is empty for the color card you need, shuffle the discards to form a new deck. If there are no cards in the discard pile either, then you would simply not gain it. The die you used should be moved to its supply area, making it available again. No die should ever stay on an action space when a player is done with their turn. At the end of your turn, discard your mission cards down to 6 if necessary. There's no limit to how many Ravager cards that you may keep. Let's take a look at the various actions you can do. There are always 6 available actions on the Black Angel board. Action spaces 1, 3, and 5 are identical, except they require different colored dice. The first action space I'll go over is number 2, found in the yellow section. It's the Discover Technology action. You must use a yellow die. You may use the activation number from the die to purchase any available technology tile. The advanced technology tiles and the first 2 spaces here cost 2 activations. The 4 spaces after it each cost 1 activation. You may spend the activations in any combination. So with a value 3 die, you can buy 3 technology tiles that cost 1 each, or a tile that costs 2 with another that costs 1. The black advanced technology tiles are immediately replaced, but the regular technology tiles are not. You can have multiple copies of any tile on your board. Each advanced tech tile has a scoring condition as a way to earn more points at the end of the game. Each of these can score up to 4 points. The tech tiles can be injected into your player board in any order you want from the outside grid border. The green, orange, and gray tiles can be injected from any of the 6 border spaces. The color arrow reminds you where they can go. The only space the black technology tiles can be placed is the bottom left corner, as shown by the black arrows adjacent to it. The tiles all have abilities that can be triggered at the beginning of your turn using cards. All the abilities of each tech tile are referenced in the appendix on page A4. Since you gain them with the boost side face up, the boost bonus must be used before the abilities are available, or you can forfeit the boost and flip it over to use its ability when you place a card around your board at the beginning of a Sequence A turn. The boost is shown on the larger bottom part of the tile. The top right of the tile shows the standard ability on its back side. For example, each of these can be flipped over to gain 2 points when you take the associated action. These 3 can be flipped to make an indicated color dice any color you want when choosing an action, including an opponent's die. These 3 bonus boosts let you flip the tile to set one die of that color to a value 3 before using it, including an opponent's die that you bought. These 3 tiles let you flip them when doing a Sequence B turn to get a free reserve die for your roll. You wouldn't have to pay the normal crystal cost. The new tiles you gain get slid into your board and will shift any tiles already present up the column or down the row to the right. As any tiles slide off the board in any direction, keep them near your board, as the collected tiles may score points. If any ejected tiles had a debris cube on them, return the cube back to your storage area. When the advanced technology tiles are ejected, you can place them in one of the 3 empty spaces on the right of your board, only 1 per space. If all 3 are filled, you still keep the advanced tech tile because it will still score you up to 4 points at the end of the game. The benefit of having the tile on one of these spaces is you have the chance to increase the amount of points that you earn from it. For each of your ejected mission cards you've collected, the scoring tile can earn an extra 2 victory points at the end of the game. Each card increases the maximum points that you could earn from it. The cards don't give you guaranteed points. Any advanced tech tile you have not placed in these 3 spaces always has a maximum of 4 points to earn. The gray action space, labeled 4, is the action to repair the Black Angel. You must use a gray die and place it on the action space circle. The value of your die determines how many damage cubes that you can remove from the board. You can take any damage cube you want, including cubes that were placed on dice in the supply areas. However, if you take a damage cube from an action space that has 2 cubes, you must take the one that indicates it's damaging the action first. You don't have to remove all the damage cubes from an action space at one time. The damage cubes you collect turn into debris cubes that can go into your debris storage area. Now you have the option to use all your debris cubes to activate technology tiles on your board. The standard side of each gray, orange, and green tech tile has the debris cube symbol with a lightning bolt on it. These are the tiles you may spend cubes on. For each tile you place a cube on, you may trigger its standard ability immediately. Each tile may only activate once. The only way to remove the cubes from the tiles is to take a Sequence B turn or eject the tile off the grid. The green action space labeled 6 is the Destroy Ravagers action. You must use a green die and place it on the action space circle to take the action. The value shown on the die used indicates how many Ravager cards that you may remove from the Black Angel. However, you must take all the Ravager cards in a single location or none of them. For example, with a die showing a 2, you can destroy 2 Ravager cards. You can take one from here and one from here since they're the only ones in their location. But if you wanted to take any from this location, you'd have to take both. With a 2, you would not be able to remove any Ravager cards from a location with 3 Ravagers. The Ravager cards you remove will go to your hand. These will become available to you as cards to play at the start of a Sequence A turn. They are special since they will activate all colors of tiles in the row or column that they're played in. Each of the color sections on the Black Angel has a Command Your Ship's action space, so it's always an option if you have a die. To take the action, place a die on the action circle. Firstly, you can move one ship you control in space up to as many hex spaces as the value of your die. If you don't have a robot in a ship in space, you can spawn one at the Black Angel space and then move it from there. You cannot use a die with a star face to spawn a ship or move a ship. You can have as many robots and ships in space as you want, following the launch rules. To launch a new ship, you must use one of your robots from the break room of the Black Angel board and use one of the ships you've collected in your storage area. The new ship must also start at the Black Angel's hex. Robots and ships cannot move into or through a hex space showing red asteroids. The only exception is if the Black Angel miniature is on an asteroid space. You may launch and move ships there because the Black Angel has protection shields. Each space hex can only hold 2 ships at a time, which must belong to different players. No matter the color of the die used to perform the action, you may move to any valid hex. After moving, you're allowed to place one mission card from your hand onto the space hex that you're on. You don't have to have moved this turn to place a mission card, so you may use a star die to place a mission card on one of your ships already in space. The mission card color must match the color planet your ship is on. Also, a hex may only have one mission card on it at a time, so if there's already a card there, you may not place a new one. The Black Angel does not block players from placing mission cards on its hex. The missions target the aliens that live there. After successfully playing a mission card onto the space hex, you must place another one of your robots onto the owner's space of the card. It's the small circle above the benefit area. Immediately gain the benefit within the small circle. It could be points, crystals, ships, or a free robot added to the break room. From now on, you are considered the owner of this card. The extra robot used must come from the break room and not from your supply. If you don't have a robot in the break room to occupy the mission card, you may not place the mission card. Place your ship in one of the 2 docking bays on the side of the card to show you're present there. Each mission card can hold 2 ships, but never 2 of the same player's ships. An opponent's ship being on a hex does not prevent you from placing a mission card there. If you do, the other player will immediately get to dock into the second docking bay. The Ravager's only goal is to destroy the Black Angel. After you place a mission card, check to see if any adjacent space hex spaces have the Ravager icon on them. For each one, draw a Ravager card one at a time from the top of the Ravager deck. Resolve them one at a time. The Black Angel does not block Ravager icons under it. They will still activate Ravagers as normal if mission cards are placed adjacent to the Black Angel miniature. To resolve each Ravager card, first draw and place the card face up on the Ravager's location area attached to the action space indicated on the card. Look for the color and number shown at the top of the card to see which action space it attaches to. Then place a damage cube on the associated action space. If no damage cubes are there, always start with a cube on the first spot. If adding a second cube, it will go on the second spot. If the space already has 2 cubes, add the damage cube on top of a die in the supply of the same color as the action. If there are no dice in that supply, or all of them already have a damage cube on them, you can ignore the new damage. If a Ravager card is already at this location, place the new one on top, slightly offset so you can count the number of cards there. Only the topmost Ravager card's effect is active. There can only be 3 Ravager cards at a time in one of these locations. If you should place a Ravager on a space with 3 already, discard it and draw another until you can place it in a valid location. You can place mission cards in space hexes showing the Ravager icon, which will cover them up. Covered up Ravager icons will not contribute towards drawing any cards. The last thing to do when placing a mission card on the spaceport is to add new technology tiles. Look at the mission card at the top left. The card will cause 1 or 2 technology tiles to be added to the Black Angel. Take the shown color tiles from the top of their respective decks and add them to the tile display. Add them in order from top to bottom as shown on the card. The new tiles slide all the existing tiles in the display down to the right. If any are ejected from the board, they will go into a discard pile. In addition to the 6 main actions on the Black Angel board, you may also use your die to activate certain mission cards in space. There are 2 kinds of mission cards: neutralization missions and activation missions. The neutralization missions have a double red arrow shown on them and only trigger when the card is ejected from the spaceboard. I'll explain more about those when we look at Sequence B. An activation mission will show dice in the left of the bottom reward area. In order to activate it, you must either be the owner of the card with your robot on it, or have a ship docked there. The dice used to activate the card must be the same color as the mission card. Simply place the die on the illustration on the card. Return it to the supply at the end of your turn. The value of the die used indicates how many times you gain the reward shown, so 1, 2, or 3 times. If you activate a card that you don't own, the owner will get 1 free activation after you've finished your action. The owner only receives the benefit once and does not use a die. Taking a Sequence B turn lets you refresh your player board and reroll dice so you can use them again. It's also what you do if you run out of dice or are unable to use any other dice on the board. If you do Sequence B while you still have dice, you lose 1 victory point per total value of your dice. You may choose to do this at no penalty if all your dice show the star icon, since they're valued at 0. Count how many of your robots are in each of the colored workstations. Collect that many dice of the corresponding colors. It's possible you're owed more dice than what is currently in the supply. If that's the case, you lose out on the extras. Additionally, if you choose a die from the supply that has a damage cube on it, you lose 1 victory point immediately. The cube returns to the general supply. Roll all of your collected dice and place them in your standard area of your compartment. At this point, you're allowed to pay 1 crystal resource to reserve 1 of them for yourself and place it in the high security area. Other players may not take it. If playing a 2-player game, also re-roll all of the neutral player's dice showing a star face. The numbered dice can stay. After rolling your dice, then your player board resets. Discard any played cards around bottom and left sides of your board. Do not discard any of the ejected cards collected on the right. You'll need those at the end of the game. If you had placed any red debris cubes on any of your technology tiles, return them to your storage area at the top of the board. These are not discarded. The final step of Sequence B is to advance the Black Angel 1 space forward. Then check for any pieces or cards on the first space strip. Some mission cards will trigger rewards for players as they get ejected. Those are known as the neutralization missions and have this double red arrow symbol on them. The owner of the card collects the reward shown on the left, underneath the robot. If anyone has a robot in a ship docked at one of the 2 docking spaces, they get to collect the rewards shown on the right. As the owner, you may also have your ship docked in one of the spaces, which would allow you to gain both reward sections. Some of the neutralization mission cards only show a single effect and not split. In that case, the owner can only gain the single reward once, and having a ship there would not earn extra benefits. Any robots or ships on the space strip are returned to the general supplies. Players who own the mission cards that fell off collect them and place them face down to the right of their player boards. The row color should match the color of the card. After removing all the pieces and resolving all the cards on the space strip, flip it over and place it in the very front of the space path. You may then slide all the space strips back down towards the Black Angel main board. As players continue taking Sequence B turns, they slowly bring the end of the game closer since the Black Angel slowly approaches the planet Spes, its final destination. As the space strips keep sliding down, the planet token for Spes will eventually fall off as well. When that happens, place the larger Spes hex token in the center of the newly flipped space strip. If the ship reaches planet Spes or you've emptied the Ravager deck, the game end is triggered. Once either of these happens, complete the round in progress so everyone has had equal turns. Refer to the first player token or first player aid card to remember who started. Then play out 1 final round. During players' final turns, they may still take the Sequence B turn, but if the ship is at Spes, it will no longer advance. Therefore, no more cards will be ejected. If your only option is to Sequence B, you may choose to simply pass your final turn. If the Ravager deck is emptied, shuffle the discard pile to make a new deck for the final turns. Points are then awarded based on any of the black advanced technology tiles players have collected during the game. If you have multiple copies of an advanced technology tile, the elements used to calculate the points must be different for each tile scoring. For details on each possible advanced technology tile's scoring method, check page A4 of the appendix. If the end of the game triggered because the Black Angel reached Spec, then everyone gains additional points for resources, debris cubes, ships, and robots collected. For every 2 items, gain 1 victory point. The robots can be counted if they're on the Black Angel board or in space. Any debris cubes still on technology tiles will automatically move to your storage area for final point scoring. If the end of the game triggered because the Ravager deck was emptied, then no one will gain extra points from these items. After all scoring has taken place, the player with the most victory points wins. Now I'll go over rules for playing a solo game. Your opponent will be Hal, your virtual adversary. The solo game can be played with or without the advanced rules, summarized on page 14. Setting up the game is similar to standard play, but with these changes. While preparing the available dice, only place 4 dice of each color in each of the supply areas of the Black Angel. In setting up the space board, only use 5 space strips. To create the Ravager deck, first, remove 12 random cards from the deck. Hal won't need a player board, starting technology tiles, mission cards, Ravager cards, cubes, resources, or ships. Just collect his own color robots and discs. Place one of Hal's discs on the 5-point victory space of the score track, and the other disc on any compartment you want to assign to him. Collect Hal's deck of cards, and shuffle them to form a face-down deck. You are the first player, and Hal always plays after you. Hal doesn't collect any items during the game. Anytime Hal would, instead, gain victory points according to the weighting summary on the back of his cards. Hal's turn will depend on if he has dice or not in his compartment. With at least one, reveal his first card. The card tells you which color die he'll use and the action he tries to perform. If on your turn you did sequence A, look at the top of his card first. If you just performed sequence B, look at the bottom of Hal's card. If the color die shown is not available, look at the second part of the card. If that color is also unavailable, return an unreserved die of the third color to its supply. Hal gains 3 victory points. If Hal has no dice left in his compartment to start his turn, then roll the dice for him and advance the Black Angel just like in part of sequence B. Hal may never reserve a die. If you must gather a die that is damaged, remove the cube and Hal loses 1 victory point. Each time one of Hal's cards in space is ejected, Hal immediately scores 3 points. Keep his ejected cards in separate discard piles for him, and return his cards to the break room. Whenever Hal takes a die, he should always take the die of the greatest value. If there's a tie for dice sharing the highest value, he will default to using his own die. If he takes yours, you gain 1 crystal resource from the supply. When resolving Hal's actions, do so in a way that best benefits Hal earning points. Hal only resolves Ravager card effects present on the action if it adds damage cubes. Any other effects are ignored for Hal. If an action space is damaged by having 2 cubes on it, his die value is reduced by 1, just like yours. Whenever Hal's deck is empty, shuffle the discards to form a new one. It is always assumed Hal has the robot available to complete an action. You may purchase one of Hal's dice and must pay 1 crystal resource to the supply. Hal gains 1 victory point. Hal's card will indicate the tiles he takes with the Discover Technology action. With this symbol, he'll first buy 1 advanced technology tile. However, if his die is a 1, he'll have to instead take a value 1 tile closest to the ejection point. With a die value of 3, he'll take 1 advanced technology tile and 1 regular tile. This symbol means he'll only take standard technology tiles up to the value allowed with the die. After taking any standard tiles, refill the display up to the space that he was able to take from. If Hal is unable to fulfill the action for any reason, Hal instead gains 3 points. For each activation point of Hal's die, he removes 1 damage cube. The card will indicate the order of taking the cubes off. Clockwise goes from 1 to 6, and the counterclockwise icon means he'll take from action 6 to 1. Hal only removes cubes from damaged dice if there are no other cubes anywhere else on the board. If unable to complete the action at all, Hal instead gains 3 points. This action is performed just like the repair action. The die used indicates how many Ravager cards that will be removed. The clockwise and counterclockwise icons will indicate the order of taking them from action spaces. Hal always tries to destroy as many Ravager cards as the die allows, so he'll skip a location if it would reduce the total number of Ravager cards he could destroy. If unable to perform the action, he'll gain 3 points. When Hal takes this action, the value of the die used is irrelevant. Additionally, Hal won't ever need to spawn a ship and pilot in space. First, draw a mission card of the same color as the die being used. If it is a neutralization card, place it on a hex on the first strip matching the color planet. If 2 locations are possible, place it on the hex with the comet showing in the hex. Then, Hal gains 3 points. If no locations are available in the first strip, go to the second strip, and so on. If Hal draws an activation mission card, place it on a valid hex on the 5th space strip. If 2 hexes in the strip are possible matches, choose the one with the comet and score Hal 3 points. If no hex is available for this card in the 5th strip, look at the 4th strip, and so on. After placing the mission card, Hal will place one of his robots on the card to show ownership, and immediately gain the reward shown for the owner spot. All resources earned get converted to points based on the weighting scale. Then proceed to normal mission placement rules, such as spawning new Ravagers from adjacent hexes and adding new technology tiles to the Black Angel board. Whenever you activate one of Hal's mission cards, Hal will also get 1 free activation. The end of the game can trigger the same way a standard game does. However, Hal does not gain extra points at the end of the game for anything, so if you end the game with more points than Hal, you win. You may choose to increase the difficulty of Hal going forward by starting his victory point disc at different points. Easy starts at 0 victory points, Standard at 5, Difficult at 10, and Extreme at 15 victory points. Keep the rulebook handy and check BoardGameGeek.com for FAQs and extra content. Check the video description for links to Big Viking Mats, Board Game Geek, Top Shelf Gamer for token upgrades, SleeveKings.com for a 10% off coupon on card sleeves, and Mr. Meeple t-shirts for cool board gaming shirts. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you found this teaching helpful. Stick around to watch another Learn to Play video. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.